Mobe, we don't fear them, no them.
Mobe, no fear them, no fear. Feel say your back, come touch me then.
Hello, JPU family. Wait, no, sister, I want Fayval on the app. Fayval Williams is becoming. Guys, today we're going to be talking a little about the economy. So I'm going to need everybody to pay very close attention and make sure that you share this video when you are finished. If you watch this debate as close as I did, you will understand what I'm about to say. Guys, it doesn't matter if you're in government or you're in opposition. People need to understand our economy and how it works in order to represent the people, whether on the government benches or the opposition benches. Two things I'm going to present to you today. I want you to hear what the PNP said, specifically Julian Robinson, what he said when Dr. Dana Dixon put him on the spot about the 3.5. Listen to the question and listen to the answer carefully.
That the 3.5 million threshold increase that was recently announced is nothing but a Sam-Fi political scam. In the beginning it was 2.1, then it became 3, then it disappeared, and then it appeared 1 week before an election. You have to tell the people of Jamaica, I ask you to tell the people of Jamaica, is this just an election scam, or is it that you are going to be cutting much needed services such as NHF, where we spend $19 billion for drugs in hospitals, or university spending, which is $17 billion. Tell us how you plan to really cut discretionary areas, as you have called them.
I answer Jamaican people. I have said we are going to raise the threshold to $3.5 million. How are we going to do that?
All right, I could take a pause right here. So, how are we going to do that? Let us say someone asks you, how are you going to get into the house? You are going to respond by saying, I'm going to get in the house by using my keys to open the door. Listen to what Julian says.
We're going to do that because
this is where understanding language is important. We're going to do that because versus we're going to do that by, okay? So listen to the rest of what he's going to say, and then I will come back.
how are we going to do that? We're going to do that because your budget says that $140 billion of additional government revenues will be earned over 3 years. But that is at your 1% growth, which you have no ambition on. We're going to grow the economy by more than that so that we can pay for these things. There's also a benefit when you put more money in the hands of people.
No numbers, no analysis, no costing.
Because they're going to spend it, which will allow the government to collect more on GCT and other indirect taxes. We are the party committed to ensuring that all Jamaicans thrive and not just a few. Our plan is better. It is more equitable. Their plan will benefit the richer people more. Ours will benefit the working people, our nurses, our policemen, the security guards, the civil servants.
All right, so after him said because, and then he pointed fingers at the government saying that they have no ambition on what they're doing, then he went on to say that he is going to make the 3.5 work. He didn't say by doing anything. Let me just replay what he said.
Which you have no ambition on. We're going to grow the economy by more than that so that we can pay for these things. There's also a benefit when you put more money in the hands of people.
So he still didn't say that he was going to make the 3.5 work by doing X, Y, or Z. Him say him is going to grow the economy more than that, and he's going to put more money in the Jamaican people's pockets. There is no real guarantee in his statements. You cannot guarantee how much or how little the economy will grow if you form government. You can make all the efforts, but all it takes is one external force or some disaster, to stall that, okay? And also, you can't determine how the Jamaican people are going to spend their money. You understand? So the only sure way, 100% sure way, is if you go in there and start making cuts. So guys, I want you to listen to this other clip. Julian says something very interesting in the parliament, which is that when they're having this discussion before an election, they don't talk about limitations. And that's why he gave no numbers or any specifics here, because all they're trying to do at this time is get votes.
One of the reasons we are here at this committee is because of the negative public perception of us. That perception is largely driven by unrealistic expectations, some of which some of us create because we make promises on the campaign trail, but largely driven by unrealistic expectations that people have of representatives. And when those expectations are not fulfilled, then the cynicism is almost cemented, and it has existed over many years. We don't explain limitations when we campaign, and we don't. None of us do, because we want votes.
That question that Dana Dixon asked Julian, a very powerful move. I don't know if that was planned or I don't know, but hey, he exposed himself and the intention of the PNP. As I said, based on his answer, his reaction to the question is either PNP don't understand the economy or deep down they know that this 3.5 is unrealistic. It's pretty clear, guys. If we're talking substance, we're talking about the issues. The JLP has the winning team. Listen good to Fayval Williams, how she destroyed the PNP with this 3.5 thing at the press conference yesterday. Have a listen.
At this time, I'm going to hand over to our Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Honourable Fayval Williams, to take us through her remarks at this afternoon's presser, and thereafter we will open up the floor, ladies and gentlemen, for your questions. Over to you, Minister Williams.
Thank you so much, Marlon. Good afternoon, everyone. So you would have seen the debate last night, focused on the economy between the team, JLP, and those persons from the PNP. Additionally, you would know that last Sunday night, after their manifesto was done and dusted, the PNP that is, they launched their 3.5. Listening to the spokesman last night, it was obvious that there was not much thought as to how they were going to pay for this. And in considering what they put out, you could see that if they go ahead with that 3.5, with increase in the threshold to 3.5 in the time frame in which they said they were going to do it, that it would cause significant damage to the budget. The PNP's promise to raise the tax threshold to 3.5 million is nothing but a desperate election scam to get votes. They are proposing to begin it on April 1, 2026. Economists and others have indicated that it would cost anywhere from 75 to 80 billion every year. Again, if they seek to do it anytime soon, it would bust the budget and it would destroy the hard work and collective sacrifice of every Jamaican over the years. It would be taking us back to massive taxation, public sector wage freeze, and increased borrowing, which would lead to high and unsustainable debt. Many Jamaicans can recall the nausea that they feel in their stomach as budget season rolls around under the PNP government. Contrast this with that of the JLP. Jamaicans really look forward to our budget presentation because they know that we are coming with plans to benefit them of the 1.5, the largest increase in the income tax threshold in the history of Jamaica. And then we did not stop there. We have outlined a fiscally responsible path to 2.0. Already we are at 1.8. I want to emphasize that we will not be stopping there when we get to 2.0. We will continue to increase the income tax threshold even while we reduce the base income tax rate. If you recall, under the PNP, up to 2016, when we took office, the threshold was $592,000. It was so low that it was not even in the consciousness of Jamaicans. We brought the benefit of an increased threshold to the consciousness of Jamaicans. And we're doing the increase in the threshold at the same time, the reduction in the base tax rate. As committed in our manifesto, a Jamaica Labour Party government in the third term will reduce the base income tax threshold from the existing 25% ultimately to 15%. Doing so in a fair, phased, and disciplined approach, we will be fiscally responsible. And now I want to compare a chart that shows what the PNP's plan looks like versus ours. In the first line, you will see the 3.5 million threshold compared with our 15% base rate and our seniors. The overall cost of theirs, 25 to 80 billion. Ours, theirs is 75 to 80 billion. And ours will be 28 to 44 billion when we roll in the seniors. And the 44 billion is us just being overly conservative. The phasing of theirs, there's none proposed. They would make the Jamaican voters think that it's going to be in year one. And in fact, I have seen on social media where people have already calculated how much they are going to get, and they've put it out there with the picture, yes, of what it is that they're going to buy with it. But it is impossible to be implemented in the first year. It would cause so much damage that we would be back to where we were 10, 15 years ago. So we looked at different options to finance this. Financing through growth is what the PNP is saying that they will do. So if you take a look at where our annual GDP is currently, it's about 3.2 trillion. 1% of that would be 32 billion. Estimated tax to GDP in terms of when you measure your revenue intake relative to your GDP, we stand at about 28%. So the estimated additional tax revenues from 1% GDP growth would be about 9 billion. To get to 75 to 80 billion would require GDP growth of 8.5% to 9%. Let that sink in. 8.5% to 9% in order to implement this in 1 year. Compare that to ours. At the top end, it would require 1.4% of additional GDP growth. And I have to say, let me pause here to say, when you look at our manifesto, the growth initiatives that are in there will get us beyond that 1.4%, if that's how we choose to do it. The second option, if you're not financing through growth, would be financing through increase in other taxes. The budgeted tax revenue for 2026-27 is about $1 trillion. Percentage increase in tax revenue required to finance the proposal would be 8%. For ours, it would be 1.3%. If it's through the third option, financing through expenditure cuts, and we are not proposing that, but we're just laying out the options and what it would look like. Wages and salaries would have to take a cut. Debt service would have to take a cut. Programs would have to take a cut. The percentage cut required in programs would be about 18 to 19%. In our column, it would be about 3%, but we're not advocating that, obviously. I know that the spokesman has been saying, or several of the various representatives in the PNP, they have been talking about reordering what they're calling discretionary, and the discretionary funds, and they trot out that is about $360 billion. I keep reminding them that in what they are calling discretionary are programs that continue year after year. And so I've listed some examples of what's in that $360 billion. So the SPARK program, would they be cutting that? That's focused on giving us better roads, more durable roads. Would they cut the PATH program? Would they cut social pension? Would they do away with the short-term poverty intervention program? How about the need-based tuition assistance and scholarships? Poor relief assistance, assistance to infirmaries, subvention to tertiary, that's $25.7 billion. Pharmaceuticals and medical supplies, almost $20 billion. For the judiciary, 12.6. Subvention to University Hospital of the West Indies, another 12.6. JUTC and Montego Bay Metro, they do get a healthy subvention, 11 billion. GOJ Health Insurance, 8.2, and so on. So you can see we have done our analysis. You have seen the experience of this Jamaica Labour Party government in government. You have seen that we have been fiscally responsible. We are the government that has delivered no new taxes for 9 consecutive years. We are the government that stayed within the fiscal guidelines. We are the government that took debt almost approaching 130% of GDP, and where we are now, 60% is within sight. 60% debt to GDP is within sight. We are the government that has delivered 33 quarters of growth, positive growth, interrupted only by the global pandemic and a significant hurricane last year and a weather event, Raphael. But what you will note as well, that we are the government that has put in place buffers, financial buffers, to help us through shocks. Prime example, last year with Hurricane Beryl, many of our schools were devastated. Infrastructure was just torn up. And within 8 weeks, we were able to find the resource to repair schools, and our schools opened as if we never had a Category 5 hurricane, because we took steps not only to create the policy on how we finance disaster, but to take the time and effort to actually get the financing behind us, so that whenever events of that nature happen, we know exactly what is available to us to help us to get back up and running. And you saw how quickly we were able to recover from these events. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be doing the increase in the threshold, and at the same time, do the reduction in the base tax rate. As committed in our manifesto, a Jamaica Labour Party government in the 3rd term will reduce the base income tax threshold from the existing 25% ultimately to 15%. But again, let me stress, we will be doing so in a fair, phased, and disciplined way, because we believe in fiscal responsibility, and you have seen us year after year after year. We've demonstrated that we are a responsible government. Just to close, I want to say again, based on the pronouncements of the PNP, it is obvious to us that the PNP is desperate for political power and is just going for broke at this point. They're literally throwing in the kitchen sink at the election. We don't have that propensity. We know we have to manage the economy in regards to the overall fiscal program. We know the Jamaican people are depending on us. They have come to know us as a responsible government, and that is our commitment to them going forward, continuing into a 3rd term. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Moby, we don't fear them, no day.
Moby, no fear them, no fear. Feel say your back, come touch me then.
The PNP in trouble. Julian Robinson say him plan for grow the economy and make the people have some more money for spend. That is his answer. He needed to be a lot more specific than that. Give the people more reassurance that he knows what he's doing. Bunting came and capped it off with some argument about social revolution, and there are no numbers, there are no specifics, and Fayval Williams just created a whole heap of damage, calling it a scam. Anyway, guys, this is Jamaica Politics Uncovered. Let me know what you think in the chat. Please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and share it with someone. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.